everybody, I'm back and I'm doing a live stream on domestic violence, and I just wanted to talk about the types of abuse there is. There's physical abuse, which is striking, punching, kicking, biting, grabbing, shoving, slapping, beating, or any type of physical violence. There's power, denying basic rights, limiting some. Welcome back. I'm back. Power, denying basic rights, of limiting someone's personal life, using the law to enforce power, controlling everything. What lights are turned off and on in a house. Did anybody think of that one as an abusive of power? That kind of stuff. Stalking, spying or following somebody, monitoring their activities, such as they have to know your every password, whether it's AOL, YouTube. They have to know every email that's sent, text messages. My ex did this kind of stuff too, because I had a cell phone there for a little bit. He would have to know everywhere I was at. Yes. Why is that? Why do they have to know your every movement? Why? You do have the right to go out to your mom's or your sister's, or get in the car and go to the grocery store just because, why do they have that power? Well, my ex had that power over me, and it took me a very long time to stop looking over my shoulder because of his abuse. Welcome, everybody. Yep. And you know what? If you should leave that situation, if you're still in it, take them babies with you. Hey, let me tell you, if you go to the police department, they can put you in contact with people that will put you in a safe house. I stayed in a safe house for 6 months with my daughter. So believe me, they can help you. They'll get you on food stamps, welfare, and don't judge anybody that's on it. That's why when I go to the store, I don't judge people that's on welfare, because you know what? I don't know their personal situation. And the way I look at it, they're feeding their kids. Because I had people that used to look at me and make the little comment, "Oh, got another welfare mom." Well, let me tell you, when a man, and I'm not man bashing, okay? But I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm just going to say it the way it is, okay? So I don't mean to offend any gentleman if they're watching. A woman gets paid less than a man. Do I hear an amen? I'm speaking the truth. A woman gets paid a lot less than a man. Because when she... There you go, girl. I got somebody in here listening. Yes, I do. When a woman... Let me give you my situation. I was homeless with my daughter in a domestic violence shelter in a safe house. Okay, I had no family, I had no money, I had not a thing. Okay, I got maybe $400 a month in food stamps. Woo, big whoop, right? And this is some of the other parts of the abuse that I went through, because I didn't have any... I don't want to say work ethics. My working areas was very spotty, because I'd work a couple of months. Well, you must be screwing your boss. You must be doing something because, and see, that's abusive too. And then plus he would take my paychecks and he would pay the bills and then drink up my money, so he was making $500 under the table, bring home, but he had to take all of my money, every dime. And I started doing the math on what our bills was, okay? And I got to thinking, you know, I paid lot rent because I owned a little trailer that I had. It was $120. And I would bring home on a really good week, after taxes, almost $250, okay? My one bill, which a month, was $150 for my electricity, okay? So I'm doing the math in my head. The water and the garbage and the sewage was considered all together in my lot rent, which was $120. So next thing I know, my money, wait a minute, I can afford to pay this rent by myself. I can even take care of myself. I even had money to do groceries. But when I was in his household, my money was his money. I didn't have no say-so. And if I wanted money, I had to skim off of the grocery money. And let me tell you what else is mentally abusive. Okay, you got 15 minutes to get the groceries done, and you're only spending $50. $50 a week? You're talking about your lady toiletries. You're talking about food. $50 for a family of 3? Really? Really? Can't survive off of that. But honey, I did. I become the queen of couponing. Any way I could save money, I did. And it's just absolutely crazy, the stuff he would do. Well, I wasn't watching the time. I wasn't speed shopping. And that, I mean, how many people can shop for a family of 3 in 15 minutes? And he was timing. He wasn't playing. Well, this one time, I was getting groceries. He left me. He left me at the store. Now, what was I supposed to do with these groceries? Walk home and with the baby? I'm like, no, see, that's control. That's control. Manipulation. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. I'm telling another story about how they can psychologically abuse you. Welcome back, Miss Ann. Glad you're back, sweetie. And I'm thinking, now how am I supposed to get home? Stupid left me here. And that was my pet name for him. I know that's not good either. That's not nice. But I wouldn't call that to his face. So I called on the phone and I said, I need a cab. So this big stretch limousine came up. My daughter was a little bitty at the time. She was a little 6-7 month old baby at the time. And the guy gets out. He says, ma'am, did you call for a cab? And I'm, what's this going to cost? Oh my God, I'm going to really get in some, you know what, if this thing pulls up. He says, honey, this is the regular price for a cab. I said, a stretch limo? Oh my God. Because I'm thinking, uh-oh, you know who's going to be really mad at me. And so I got the baby. He picked up my little daughter, Tori. He placed her in the car, put the little seat belt around her. He said, don't you worry about a thing, sweetheart. I said, but you just don't understand. And he was an older guy, and I think he understood very well. He says, this'll be all right. Don't you worry about it. That'll teach him to leave you at the store. I said, oh my God, how much is this going to... And I'm thinking, it's rolling around in my head. See, this is the abuse. This is the abuse. It's rolling around my head. Oh my God, what's he charging me per mile on this car? Oh my gosh, you know. So he helped me in with my groceries. And this guy, he was old enough to be my grandfather. Very, very sweet, kind man. Don't know who the man was. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to catch you know what, because I had to call a cab and this limousine came. I mean, there was a little piece of me, it's like, oh yeah, this is sweet. He actually went around the block 2 or 3 times just for meanness. The cab driver, he says, you're enjoying this, aren't you? You should enjoy this. You're special. He says, and I guarantee you, you're in abuse. because you're just so apologizing. That's all you can say is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he said, honey, let me tell you something. One of these days, you're going to have to get out of that, and you're going to have to get away from that man. And he said, don't you dare worry about him getting upset with you, because he said, I can handle this myself. Lily Mae, come on, kitty, 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 kitty. She's trying to get in my hutch. So if you're hearing scratching, that's her. But it blew my mind. And the psychological abuse sometimes can get so bad that your reaction is totally, a normal reaction would be, hey, I called a cab and Stretch came, I'm going to enjoy this ride. That would be a normal reaction. But I was just almost in tears because I knew I was going to catch you know what. Well, he carried in my groceries and I carried my daughter in. And he says, sir, he says, you owe me, and I forget the amount it was. And the guy, I found out after he was leaving, he charged him double and gave me the money that he paid him. He says, now you keep this money and you keep quiet about it because you know he's going to be upset. And he didn't charge me anything for that. He says, you shouldn't leave a beautiful wife like you have and your daughter at the store with groceries. That's just hateful and mean. And this guy, this cab driver / limousine driver, he was so nice to me. I started crying. I put the groceries away, and me and my daughter spent the rest of the evening locked upstairs in the bedroom because I didn't want to hear what he had to say. And so thank God he passed out and didn't remember that incident, or so he says. My ex said he didn't remember anything about it, about the cab ride home. And I really believe he did. He didn't want to talk about it. And I wasn't going to push it if he didn't want to talk about it and if he supposedly blacked out from being drunk. Well, that was all right by me that he didn't want to remember it because I didn't want to tell him about it. So, yeah. They have selective memory lapses. Selective. So, and the reason that I know this, the next Friday, I went, hey, how are you, Chasing Bones? Hi, how are you? I'm talking about domestic violence. So, welcome. And I'm making a few videos of domestic violence, talking about domestic violence and stuff. So, anyway, the reason I believe he was lying about remembering the cab driver that brought me home, because that next Friday, I said to myself, wonder if he's going to time me and leave me and the baby here at the grocery store this time. Well, guess what? And yeah, Carla did it. I spent 25 minutes in the grocery store. And I said, well, wonder if he's going to leave me again. And you know what? He didn't leave me that time. So what does that tell you? His actions said one thing. His word says, I don't remember you coming home in the cab, the limousine. So their actions say one thing, but the words say another, and the two don't mix. Yeah, he was lying. He was most definitely lying, because even that Friday, I spent 25 minutes in the grocery store. Guess what? He was still out in the car. And he looked at me and said, what took you so long? And I looked at him and said, sorry, I just, it was busy in there. It was just busy in there. And so that tells me that he knew what he was doing. But see, he was playing mind games to leave me at the grocery store. Going shopping for 3 people with $50. And then if I wasn't out in the car by 15 minutes, boy, that is just hateful, don't you think? Hateful. So anyway, that's another story. That the little things. And another one, he was really, the relationship had changed after we had Tori. Now, I'm not talking about Kentucky Ranger. He adopted Tori, our daughter. But this was my ex, her donor dad. Well, I ain't going to say dad, but donor. Let's just say that, donor. And anyway, she was little. She was eight months old. And she was crying. She was teething, you know. And this is something babies do. Well, of course, he was drinking and carrying on. And he starts raising, saying, "Can't you shut that stupid baby up?" Blah, 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 blah. I mean, just carrying on. And I thought to myself, yeah, exactly. Donor. Yep. Exactly. So she was crying. She was upstairs. And something just, I don't know. I just sprung up and I ran after him because he was going upstairs. And I thought, oh God, he's in a rage. He was drunk and he was in a rage. Not that I'm giving it an excuse, because domestic violence, I don't care what, there's no excuse for it, drinking or otherwise. So I'm right on his feet. I'm right on his tail, running up the steps. And I grabbed my daughter up and I had her in my arms sideways. And before I knew what I was saying, I had my windows open in the house because it was cool. And I said to him, "You're not going to hit my baby." And I grabbed her up. And I had her like you do a football on this arm. Because no matter what, and I was doing my arm in this stance. And I was getting ready for him to hit her. I don't know why I did it. It was just instinct. But he was going to do something. He picked up the leg of her crib and slammed it. And I told him, I said, "You need to stop this. This is crazy." Well, of course, she's screaming and crying because it's scaring the you-know-what out of the baby. She's screaming. And I told him, I said, "You're not going to do that. You're not going to hit her." And I guess my neighbors heard the commotion. And he grabbed my arm like this. And I had her in the other arm like she was a little football. And I said, "You're not going to do this. You're not going to hit her. You need to just stop it." And I said, "Stop it," as loud as I could. And he looked at me with such rage in his eyes. And he shoved me backwards. And I fell with the baby. And I cradled her. And I ran into our master bedroom. And I locked the door. And I put her on the other side of the bed in the floor. So he wasn't going to get to her. And if he came through that door, it was going to be on like Donkey Kong. It was going to be on. So I picked up the baseball bat I had in the closet. And I stood by the door and I said, "You're going to leave me and her alone." And I mean just that. Leave us alone. And my neighbor, she had called the police. And I didn't know it. But I locked our daughter in our room because I was going downstairs. I was going to make sure that he wasn't going to get to her. And I had the baseball bat. And I set it up against the door. And I said, "You need to simmer down and just stop this mess." And he laid down on the couch. And a little bit later, I don't know how long it had been, I had gotten dressed for bed. And somebody was banging on the door. And I'm going to tell you, this is how they convince you of when they show out like that to be on their side, to say, "No, he didn't hit me." No, I actually lied to the police. But as I did it, I didn't do it to be deceptive, because there was a lady police officer and a man police officer came in. Said, "We're checking on such and such's well-being." And she said my maiden name, which very few people knew my maiden name. And that's what I went by, because him and I were not married. And so I knew who called the police by what they said. It was my neighbor lady. Thank God she did. And she says, "Carla, you need to come out of the bathroom," because I was in the downstairs bathroom. and I wouldn't come out. I was afraid because I knew, oh Lord, you know, it's going to all bust loose because somebody's called the police. Well, see, when somebody calls the police, when they hear a domestic violence situation going on, that puts them on notice, the abuser. They're on record. So if you do go to leave them, and or if you're married to them, you can take the children from them, because most courts will say, well, the father or the mother, they both have equal rights to having the children. But if there's a domestic violence situation, you, as the other person, can take the children. And always remember that, because a lot of people are scared that, well, if I leave this situation, then he will get the kids. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. If there's any type of physical abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, drug abuse, or even alcoholism, you can use that in your best interest to keep the children safe. And that's what you should do. Well, I told her, I said, well, I'm just in a long t-shirt. I'm in my night clothes. And I was embarrassed. I was scared. And everything was rolling around in my head. All of the programming he had put in my head. Now, no matter what, you back me up, you back me up, you back me up, because I didn't set out to lie to the police lady. I didn't. But I wound up did because of what I said. She said, honey, I'm here to check on your well-being. I said, but I'm in my night clothes. See, the shame and the guilt was coming out. That's why I was saying what I was saying. And she said, honey, it's okay. We can go upstairs, but I'm here to check on your well-being. I said, okay, because I couldn't think clearly. All I could think of is, you know, first thing popped off my head, you know, I have to answer these questions, and I have to answer them so it won't get me in trouble. But I didn't set out purposely to deceive or to lie to the police. And I said, well, she said, what's going on? And I said, nothing, why? And at that moment, that was the truth. Because he had passed out on the couch. The other officer was talking to him. And I was terrified. And I'm thinking so many things in my head. Oh my God, what do I say? You know, and my brain is like, somebody's got the blender up on high. What do I say? Because I was so scared. And she says, well, what's going on? I said, I was just getting ready to go to bed. She says, were you guys fighting? I downplayed it. Yeah, we had a few words. And she said, Carla, it's okay to tell me the truth. It's okay. And I was shaking so bad. She said, I need you to take off your nightgown. I need to check you out to see if there's any bruises. And I was scared. I was terrified. What do I do? So I just complied with her. We were upstairs in the master bedroom and bathroom. She said, she looked me over with the flashlight. She says, what happened tonight? And I said, well, him and I, we had a few words. See, downplaying it again. He taught me to downplay everything. Oh, it was just a few words. We just had a few words. No, it was a screaming match, and he pushed me. That's domestic violence. When they push you, when he pushed me up against the wall with the baby, I kind of omitted that part where he was racing up the steps. I didn't know what he was going to do but hurt the baby. But I left that part out. It just... And he picked up the baby's bed and slammed it to the floor. And then shoved me with her. That's domestic violence. But see, my training, what he had programmed and groomed me to say was, domestic violence is where I punch you with my fist. That's domestic violence. No, what he did was domestic violence. So the police officer said, well, the neighbors heard a ruckus and you screaming, stop it, stop it. What was going on? And she knew I was lying. She knew it. But she also knew that I was scared. She gave me her card. She said, Carla, if you ever need us, we are here. And abuse is not just being battered, it's being shoved. So she knew. She knew. But I was so terrified. I was so scared. So she says, where's your daughter? And I said, well, she's in her bed. She's asleep. She said, I want to see your daughter. So I put her on my bed and I did as she asked. She wanted me to take the baby's shirt off because she was looking for bruises on her. My neighbor heard what was going on and heard me when I said, you're not going to hit my baby. She heard that, and that's what she told them. And I know at that moment I didn't do the right thing for me and for her, but at the same time, I didn't know what to do because I was in the mindset of an abused person. And later I found out, she told me, she says, honey, we heard what happened. What happened? She said, we know he's abusing you. What happened? And I was too terrified to tell her. I couldn't tell her until after I left that situation. And I saw her 2 or 3 years after I had left. And we talked about that. She said, Carla, I'm going to ask you again. You didn't give me a straight answer. What happened? And I told her. She hugged me. She said, Carla, honey, it's okay. Me and Joe was here for you, honey, if you needed us. She said, we knew you were scared to death. We knew it. And I was terrified. I finally got out of that situation. But you know, when you're in abuse, they got you so isolated from people, you don't even realize there's people in the community that will not judge you, that will help you. So I say it's everybody's problem. Domestic violence. If you see something, say something. You could save somebody's life. You can save a little child's life. They might be battered in the situation. But I have learned so much. That's why I'm getting my book published, Bruises from Within. And it talks about my abuse I went through. And I hope to talk to women's shelters and talk to people in churches where domestic violence starts. And it is our problem as a society. Women are valuable. Men are valuable. People are valuable. Because when my mother and her mother and her mother, when they were brought up, it's cultural. You were a man's property. We're nobody's property. Nobody owns us but God or whoever you serve. Maybe you don't serve God. Maybe you're an atheist. Nobody owns you. Nobody owns you. Nobody. Nobody. You don't have a price tag on you. I know I sure don't. Because I'm invaluable, maybe. But nobody owns you. Nobody has the right to tell you what to wear, what to do. Nobody. So I hope this video has helped. And I may do another one a little bit later in a few minutes or so. So if people... Thank you, Ann. That gonna make me cry saying that. Thank you. God bless you for saying that. I didn't feel invaluable. I didn't a lot of my life. But I feel like it's my life path to talk to others and maybe to help educate, because each domestic violence situation is a little bit different, but at the same time, it's the same. The abuse lasts so long. Thank you, Chasing Bones. God bless, honey. Thank you, guys. You guys are just, oh, y'all going to make me cry. Don't do that. Y'all going to make me cry. But the life lessons it's 3:30 here. Honestly, well, you can catch this on the rebound if you want to. It's probably late in Kentucky. I forget what time it is. I don't know. Probably about the same time. But, domestic violence is really hard to get out of. It's easy to get into because a lot of times you don't see it. But it is up to us that sees anything. Honey, you could save a life no matter who you are to step in. I had a wonderful landlady. She helped me and my daughter get out of domestic violence. And let me tell you, it's so crazy when you get in domestic violence because they mess up your thinking to think that you're not worth anything. And, domestic violence is all of our problems. And if you know somebody in domestic violence or you suspect it, say something. Sometimes it's just as simple as just being a shoulder for them to cry on and maybe give them advice. And that's why I'm doing my videos. Maybe I can make a difference to somebody because somebody made a difference in my life. And because of Ada, my landlady, I'm here today. I'm here today. And November 19th, 2001 is when I left my abuse. And I celebrate this November 19th. I celebrate my new birth, my new life, because I don't know where I'd be if I stayed. And we're all here to make a difference for somebody. Somebody out there may need us. So let's be there. Let's not be the kind that, well, that ain't none of my business. I don't need to butt my nose in, and I don't need to be a Miss Kravitz to be a nosy britches. You know what? Sometimes we need Mrs. Kravitz in the world. We need people to be nosy. Hey, just ask, hey, are you doing okay today, Carla? Hey, are you okay personally? Those are my thoughts for today because my daughter called the police on somebody, her neighbor, that was being abusive. So I want to say, Tori, I love you, Ninja Bunny, my baby girl. I've done something good as a mom. I think I've made a difference in her life. Because sometimes as parents, when we stay in abuse, we teach our children the life lessons we've learned, such as to stay in abuse. But don't stay in abuse. It's never too late to change somebody's life, whether it's your daughter or your son. I'll do another video in a few minutes, guys. I'll catch my breath, okay? I hope this has been a blessing to you. So I'll make a few more videos to talk about abuse and stuff again, different aspects of it. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. And I hope you'll hit the like button, show me a little bit of love, subscribe to me. And I appreciate every one of you guys. Let's make a difference. We can do this. We got this, ladies. We got this. And gentlemen, too. So let's look out for each other and show each other some compassion. I love you all, and thank you so much.